Welcome back. Member of Parliament for Mangrove Key in South Andros, Picewell Forbes, begging to defer from MP Parker Edgecombe. He says that the blame for the spike in COVID-19 cases cannot be placed solely on Bahamians. Now, Mr. Forbes expressed that leader of the opposition, Philip Davis, did warn the government that it was too soon to open the borders, and the spike in cases is the result of that.
We would have worried and gotten our reports also about visitors who are coming to our fair land, also virtually walking through our port of entry at LPIA with minimal testing, and also we've heard stories of these tests that were brought in that were unverified, and there was some level of corroboration as to whether some of them were even good in the first place, and the authenticity of some of these tests that were presented at our port here in New Providence. So, Mr. Speaker, there's enough blame to go around, but still at the end of the day, the government is praising itself for how it would have comported itself when I know once again, my leader would have warned the government about the opening process and protocols, in his view, were not in place for that opening at that time.
The MP says that he had a discussion with law enforcement who suggested that those persons entering the country via private aircraft or otherwise should only be able to access the country through certain islands.
These are persons who would have given me the advice, who were in that area. So I think the government needs to look at these suggestions, because at the end of the day, as we have now, I know they were talking with an agency who could do most of these pre-bookings, so for instance coming to the Bahamas, getting permits and licenses to traverse our waters. But I think at this time it's very frightening and puts us very concerned out there. So we should look at anyone who's coming to the Bahamas once again, and I want to thank those who have made the suggestion to me, who come into the Bahamas, Mr. Speaker, by air, private craft, if they're not coming from North America, the U.S., should I say, would only be allowed on private craft. So that means once again the wealthy and the rich persons would be able to come, or those who can afford it would come on private craft. And they should only be allowed to enter our country through New Providence, because Grand Bahama is now closed. Those who come in via boats should only be allowed to enter through Bimini with proper protocols in place. Grand Bahama, that is now closed at this time, on New Providence.
Mr. Forbes also urging those in the family islands to be mindful of their surroundings and to report anyone on a boat, whether family, friend, or stranger crossing the open waters to enter the country, to report them to local authorities. Former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands highlighting that the issue of testing for COVID-19 is becoming a serious problem. In the House of Assembly this morning, he says he fears that moving forward, the issue of testing will continue to be a problem.
The requirement now for testing has been compressed, so that it used to be that patients could get a test, an RT-PCR for COVID-19, within 7 days of an operation or within 7 days of coming into hospital. And what we have found is that does not provide safety. Unfortunately, just last night, my partner was exposed to a patient with COVID-19 in the hospital and is now quarantined for 14 days. And so, Mr. Speaker, the ability not just of the country to test, but of our hospitals to test is paramount.
Dr. Sands stated that building the capacity in the public health care system to do RT-PCR tests is critical for the ongoing ability to provide health care to the public. The former minister also expressed that it is not just the Bahamian people making mistakes, but the administration as well.
When we look at things, let us see how we can do things better. We don't need to point fingers. So, not just the people who are not wearing masks, not just the people that are going to Florida, but perhaps our administration can do some things better. Perhaps our rules can be done a little bit better. Perhaps if we make certain decisions in a different way, the outcome will be better. There is no me in team. Together, everyone achieves more. We will not win this battle against COVID-19 unless we collectively work together to solve these problems.
Dr. Sands says that he looks forward to working together to deal with the challenges that face this country. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.